All right, let's dive into Susan Glaspel's fantastic 1916 play, Trifles. Now, on the surface, this is a straightforward murder mystery. But what if I told you it's actually about two completely different investigations happening at the same time in the same room, looking for two totally different things?
This one line, said by one of the men in the play, "This is everything." It's tossed out there as a joke, something dismissive, but ironically, it names the exact things that are going to solve this entire case. It just goes to show you, what one person calls a trifle, another person calls the truth.
So here's the setup. A farmer, John Wright, is dead, strangled, in his own bed. And his wife, Minnie, who was apparently right there next to him, she says she slept through the whole thing. The sheriff has her in jail, and as far as they're concerned, it's an open and shut case.
The entire story unfolds in just this one room, the Wright's kitchen. And let me tell you, it is not a happy place. It's chilly, it's a mess, and everything feels stopped mid-task. The play literally describes it as a scene of incompleted work, and that feeling is our first big hint that something is seriously, deeply wrong in this house.
Okay, so first up you have the official investigation. This is the one being run by the county attorney and the sheriff. They've shown up to do things by the book and find some good old-fashioned hard evidence.
And their approach is exactly what you'd expect. They're on the hunt for what they call real evidence, right? Signs of a break-in, a big struggle, and the big one, a motive. They take one look at the kitchen and decide the answers have to be in what they consider the important parts of the house, the bedroom and the barn. And this line from the sheriff, it just says it all. He glances around this messy kitchen, the absolute heart of the home, and sees nothing, just kitchen things. For him, a clue for a murder could never, ever be found next to some dish towels or jars of fruit preserves. This room is totally useless to his investigation.
But while the men are trumping around upstairs, a whole other investigation kicks off, right there in the kitchen. The sheriff's wife, Mrs. Peters, and a neighbor, Mrs. Hale, are there just to pack a few things for Minnie. And well, they start to see things that the men are completely missing.
And this is where you see the two worlds collide. The men, they're looking for proof of a single, violent moment. The women, though, they start picking up on these tiny, subtle clues of a long, lonely, unhappy life. They're reading a whole story that the men don't even know exists.
So what's the first clue? A quilt Minnie was working on. Mrs. Hale, being a quilter herself, notices that most of the stitches are perfect, really neat. But then there's this one square where the sewing is just, as she says, all over the place. It's like a snapshot of a calm mind suddenly becoming frantic and disturbed.
Then they find an empty bird cage. And this is a huge sign that some kind of violence did happen in this house. The door isn't just a little broken. The hinge has been violently ripped off. It's a clear sign of rage. But if there was a bird, where did it go?
And here we go. This is the moment it all starts coming together. All these little, seemingly insignificant details, these so-called trifles, are about to connect and reveal the one thing the county attorney has been looking for all along: the motive.
Mrs. Hale is looking through a nice sewing box, the kind you keep your best things in. And inside, she finds something wrapped carefully in a piece of silk. She unwraps it, and there it is, the missing canary. And it's dead.
Then comes the absolute gut punch. The bird wasn't sick. It didn't escape. Someone had grabbed it and twisted its neck. And in that instant, the women see it all. A bird with a wrung neck, a man strangled with a rope. This wasn't just another clue. This was the final straw.
Suddenly, the women understand the whole story. Mrs. Hale remembers Minnie from years ago, a happy girl who loved to sing in the choir. But her husband, John, he was a cold, quiet man who basically choked the life out of her spirit. That little bird was probably the only thing that brought song and joy into her life. So when her husband killed it, he killed the last piece of her. And so she gave him the exact same death he gave her bird.
And this is where the play is just so genius. These simple objects become huge symbols. That dead canary, that's Minnie's own joy, her own voice being silenced. The broken bird cage is her prison of a marriage. And the messy quilting, that's the picture of a mind finally snapping from years of quiet desperation.
So now they know the motive. They have the key piece of evidence that would absolutely convict Minnie. And they are faced with a massive choice. What on earth do they do with it?
This brings us to the play's central theme, this idea of a jury of her peers. The whole point of a jury is that it's made up of people who can understand your life, your world. The men in this play could never get what Minnie's life was like, but Mrs. Hale and Mrs. Peters, as women from that same time and place, they get it completely.
And so they make a decision. They deliver their own verdict. They see the crime that was committed against Minnie over years and years, and in this incredible moment of solidarity, they decide to hide the sewing box and the dead bird inside from the men. They conceal the motive.
The play ends with this absolutely killer, ironic line. The county attorney is making fun of them, asking if they've decided if Minnie was going to quilt it or knot it. And Mrs. Hale just looks at him and says, "We call it knot it." It's a fantastic double meaning. Yes, it's a quilting term, but she's also telling him they've decided to knot up the case themselves, tying it off so the men will never ever find the truth. You know, even after more than 100 years, this play hits so hard. It makes you question who decides what counts as evidence. It shows us that real justice requires empathy, not just facts. And it's just this perfect reminder that sometimes the biggest truths are hiding in the smallest, most overlooked corners of our lives.
And that leaves us with the final, nagging question. Did these women obstruct justice, or did they deliver a different, maybe more meaningful kind of justice? What's the line between what is legal and what is right? It's a really tough question, and that's exactly what makes Trifles such a timeless masterpiece.